Hello, residential home sellers and buyers. Today we're going to talk about how realtors and appraisers price homes. So I've got some insider secrets for you. To those who aren't proficient at typing in questions into their Google search bar. Just kidding. I've been in the industry about 20 years, so there may be. I'll give you is the textbook answer to pricing homes, and I'll give you the real world application of what that looks like as well. And there are a few methods to pricing homes. The most common method, and you may have heard of this, it may look familiar to you, for pricing residential homes is the CMA. What does the CMA stand for? Comparative Market Analysis. Okay, CMA, Comparative Market Analysis. So we start with our property that we want to price or evaluate, and that is our subject property. We're home here. Door, it's got a window. All right, that is our subject property. Okay, and make the walls even. All right, and then what we are going to do is find the three most comparable recent sales. And what is a comparable? Well, you want something that is in close proximity geographically. You want that sale to have taken place as close as possible to today's date or the date that you're doing your evaluation. You don't want it from 2 years ago. And you want to make sure that the comparables are a similar style and condition. And you can't always get exact to your subject property, and that's where we will make some adjustments, which I will get to here. So let's say this property, this one was just down the street, and it was in quite nice shape, had some upgrades. Kitchen was done up very nicely. And so this one was in better shape. And then we have this one over here. This one was a few streets over, but it had a beautiful triple garage, and this one was in really nice shape too, even nicer than this property. And then we have this one over this property over right over here. This one, as we say in the real estate game, needed some TLC. It needed some tender love and care. Wasn't in the best shape. Had a hard life and needed some upgrades. So what we do is we have our subject property here, and what we're going to do is take our comparables, right? Comparables, and we are going to bring these in line with our subject property. Now, if you're a licensed appraiser or a real estate agent, there are some nuances to making these adjustments. For example's sake, I'm going to keep it simple, right? Typically, you'll find three areas of each comparable property to make adjustments to in order to bring it in line with the subject property. For example, say I'm going to run with it here. So this comparable home, it sold for $550,000, right? But as I said, it's nicer than the subject property, so we're going to make an adjustment down in value. We're going to adjust it down $25,000, which is the amount of money it would take to make this property worth the same as the subject property. Now this property over here, not quite as nice. It sold for $490,000. And in order to bring it in line with the subject property, we need to upgrade the price. And so we are going to upgrade the price to $30,000 because 30,000, or we're going to upgrade the price 30 grand because that's how much this house needs to bring it in line with the subject property. And now the third house over here, this one had a beautiful triple garage, right? It was in really nice shape. So, and this one over here, it sold for 580 grand, right? And it's considerably nicer than the subject property. So again, we're going to adjust this property down. This time, this property is going to go down 50 grand in order to bring it in line with the subject property. So what does that give us here on our subject property line here? We've got 530 grand over here. We've got 520 grand over here, and we've got 525,000 on this end. So it gives us a scale of 520,000 to 530,000. All right, that is our scale of value. And if you're analytical like me, this will drive you a little bit nuts. As they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And in terms of valuing residential real estate, the valuation is somewhat subjective. So this is the textbook answer. Now, how does it apply to the real world here? And how do we work with the scale here, right? So real world example. There's a family, they have children that will be starting school in the fall, and they really want their children to be into the school district. They will likely be willing to pay on the top end of the scale. In fact, they might even say, you know what, this is the only house that we like in the neighborhood, and they're willing to pay 5 grand more, right? And then on the other end here, let's say we have a tenant occupied property, and I'm not knocking tenants. I've been a tenant myself, and I will do another video on strategies for tenants to get into the market, and I'll do another video on where I'm willing to do another video on landlords and strategies with tenants as well, right? But for the current example here, we're just going to say this. On this end of the scale, property's tenant occupied. You can't get people in for showings, or it's difficult to get people in for showings. When you do, it's not showing like an owner-occupied property. There's dishes in the sink, the beds aren't made, the place, it's just not showing like a owner-occupied property. And then when you, let's say this prospective buyer for this home, this tenant-occupied home, they want to move in. But there's a lease in place, so they can't get in right away. They've got to give notice to the tenants. It's a hassle. The kids are starting school. They're going to be missing. They're not going to be in that district on time, right? So maybe for this example, it's on this end of the scale, and maybe even less. Maybe it's even 10 grand less for that hassle, their time and energy and their hassle, and they don't even know, is the property going to be, what condition is the home going to be in when they buy it, right? According to the offer to purchase, the property does need to be in a similar condition to when they viewed it, but you know, people, they don't always know, right? There's some unknowns there, and so for that risk, then what are we looking at here? We're looking at a realistic range of 510,000 on the low end, and 535 on the top end, right? That's the value for this property. So I'm prepared to do some other videos on what does this mean in today's market in Calgary, specifically my marketplace. We are in a seller's market, so there's some more layers to this, right? And I'm willing to do some additional videos. I mean, as a seller, typically I find people want to get as much as they can for their properties. So some strategies, how do we get on this end of the scale as a seller? And then as a buyer, how do we get more towards the lower end of the scale? And essentially that's the CMA, Comparative Market Analysis. This gives you an idea of how properties are priced. And if you like this video and you want to see those additional videos, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And you'll get notification of those new videos. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.